Hello, and welcome to another episode. I am your host, Jaime Salazar, and today's topic we're going to be talking about one of the most important documents in our um, in our in our course of business, which is the custom broker business. Um, we are going to be talking about the um, the customs part of attorney, which is a that is the most one of the most important documents before even considering conducting business under any client. And today we're going to talk about the correct filing instructions, how to go about filling it up, and why is it that certain information is required. As to, we're going to talk about also about the um, the regulation that applies to us and why is it that we need to have such document. And then on another episode coming very soon, we're gonna talk about we're gonna discuss issues and which is the continuation of the power of attorney, because pretty much it's a continuation of the same document, but pretty much it when we validate the part of attorney. By that said, is we're talking about when we have to further verify um, the company that we're doing business with, and we need to make sure that the authorized um, person that signed on the power of attorney, whether be a company officer or whatever, we need to make sure that we verify the information as to who is the person that's signing, and again, the company that we're doing business with. And that is going to be discussed in another episode because it's going to be uh, quite some time to explain all the details on the validation process. So we're going to try to stick with less details, but we're going to talk about very important subjects as well. And again, I thank thank you everybody that is out there for tuning into our channel, and I'm hoping again that our content can, in a way, help anybody out there. Again, this is pretty much for educational purposes. I'm trying to post as much content out there um, to help out and trying to educate again, and for everybody to try to learn about all the processes that involves when we're dealing with importers as customs brokers, and when we're dealing with the customs itself. So again, I thank you, and let's get down to the information. So anyway, the customs power of attorney is pretty much under the customs form 5291. That is the official form that customs um, issues, and that is the legal document. Now, on the part of attorney, as I explained, it is a requirement, an obligation as us as custom brokers that we need to obtain and retain a customs power of attorney before even conducting customs business under any importer's behalf. So bottom line is, if we don't have one, we can not legally represent you. We cannot be your agents, and we cannot do anything under your behalf until we obtain a power of attorney from the company. Um, it is required for us as custom broker to obtain one and to keep it in our records. Um, to demonstrate the day after tomorrow if customs request such document authority, we need to provide that information, um, and therefore we need to have it on record. What is the duration of the power of attorney for say? The duration of power of attorney, pretty much for a partnership, a company that's a partnership company, is for a limited period of not to exceed 2 years. You know, from the date of execution. You know, the day it was signed. You know, and the remaining all the powers of attorney, meaning that it can be any limited liability, other corporate company, that is not a partnership company. It could be granted for an unlimited amount of period of time. Meaning it can be 2 years, it could be 3, 4, 5 years for say, but there's a process beyond those points where customs is kind of like being enforcive and putting content out there as well as to advise the broker community to make sure that we continue to verify and update our records um, within the part of attorney to, and that's pretty much falls within the reasonable care compliance as customs brokers, that we need to make sure that the officer that signed on the part of attorney, you know, it's still in effect, meaning that he still works within the company, still represents the company. So we need to make sure that our records are fully updated within time. You know. So again, those are the two subject matters, and the other one, it's one of the regulations and laws that had made a change just recently. Pretty much the law has always been there, but I guess it was kind of interpreted in a different way, that they now revised the law and they use more specific wording on that law, and which I applauded because there has been a lot of problems with that. And with that said, it's pretty much when you have um relations with unlicensed persons, you know, that is the regulation that we're gonna talk here right now. And this is meaning pretty much when you're dealing with third party companies. It can be a freight forwarder, or any other third party company, logistics company. You know, there's a lot of logistics companies out there that do business. Um, they offer other services door to door to the clients, and obviously they're not custom brokers, and obviously they hire custom brokers to clear the goods that they're transporting. um and That's when we have a lot of issues sometimes, because a logistics company, pretty much, again, I don't want to talk bad about any logistics companies out there, but I have, through the course of the years, I have dealt with a lot of logistics companies that um, they don't want to provide such information as to having that direct communication with the importer. Now, with this new revised regulation here, they put it in more specific wording, where they're stating here on 11136, the regulation. They're saying here specifically, the broker must execute a customer return directly with the importer record or drawback claimant, and not via a freight forwarder or other third party. To transact customs business for that importer record or drawback claimant, no part of the agreement, compensation between the broker and the forwarder, nor any action taken pursuant to the agreement, can forbid or prevent direct communication between the importer record, you have a claimant or other party interest in the broker. So pretty much, uh, it has to be direct. The power of attorney has to be direct from importer broker. Uh, there's no way that the power of attorney can go through a logistics, or again, there's a lot of logistics companies out there that you do business with. Like just recently, a couple of months ago, I was contacted by one of them, right? And when they contacted me to do business with them, I told them that, yeah, like I'm more than glad. I mean, if it's business, it's business, But again, there's a procedure in place. So uh, I have asked questions. Okay, what are we talking about? What's the commodity? What are we importing? What are we handling? So it turns out that obviously the logistics company had everything on their power, meaning that they provided me the complete that complete file. Like they sent me the documents, the invoices, the complete operation per se. And within that, obviously, minutes later, they sent me a part of attorney filled out by the importer of record. Um, so when I received that part of attorney, I mean, obviously, it's not the part of attorney that we have in place that we use. The one that it is pretty much prepared and recommended by the National Custom Brokers and Freight Forwarders Association of America, which we're members of the that association, which is one of the biggest ones in at a nationwide level in the United States. And so I told them, okay, well, number one, the I'm not gonna accept this power of attorney because the wording on it's pretty much basic wording. Uh, and the wording goes more beyond that. And we're gonna talk about it right now. So when I reached out to them and I told them, like, look, not only that the power of attorney is outdated, um, I cannot accept it directly coming from you because I still need to verify who's signing it. I need to contact directly the company, the importer record. And then that's when they started, nagging about it, where like, no, pues this is how we do it. And I told them, okay, well, that's how you guys do it. But again, that's not the way we work. And now, just recently, again, I sent them the same regulation that I just put here on this screen. I sent it to them specifically stating that we cannot accept the power of attorney because it is a law that we need to do our job. So we were back and forth on it, and they said, "Well, it's because we never had those problems with other brokers." And same thing. It's like, look, again, I'm not gonna argue with you. I'm not gonna bother with it. Either you comply with the law or you don't comply with the law. It's up to you. Again, but this is a requirement, and I sent him the law, and I briefly explained to him how the law applies. So he ended up not calling me. Like I had all the documents ready. I reviewed the documents. Everything was fine, and everything. But we were missing that part. So I guess he tried going to another broker or going back to the same broker he was doing business with, and I guess that broker kind of in a way brought the same issue, and he that's when he realized, oh, well, I guess I'd rather go with this guy because he's recommended. So he came back to me and pretty much said, well, I'm gonna do a conference. I said, that's fine. you can do a conference. I don't doesn't bother me. I mean, I'm gonna talk directly to the importer anyway, so just do the presentation and I'll do my thing. But don't worry about it. Like, I'm not gonna jump the fence here. I know the what you're trying to protect your you know obviously the client. You want to protect your business, because you're thinking, oh well, if I give him direct communication, how do I know that he's not gonna take the client from me? And we're not like that. When we do business like that with people that want to do business with the right way, I am more than glad to help them. But I'm not the type of person that I'm gonna be stealing clients from you, because that is not who I am. I've never done that in my entire life. I've been doing business for more than 25 years, and I've never done that in my entire life, and I don't plan to do it, to anybody. So either there's trust between us or there's no trust. So again, the decision is yours. So anyway, we ended up having a conversation. I talked to the importer. I introduced myself and I explained him what details, and I sent him my power of attorney, and he complied with everything. I helped him out. He provided the information, and then we went to the process of validation. Which again, I'm gonna talk about validation in another episode, because it's kind of it's gonna take some time to go through every details of the validation process. Uh, but anyway, the third party logistics, or any person. That's why this regulation pretty much specifically states relations with unlicensed persons. So pretty much you're dealing with people that are unlicensed. So, which is, again, is the freight forwarder, logistics company, or any other company out there that exports into United States. For say that they have contacts, with exporters and everything. And again, we welcome with open arms any new business, but again, as long as it's everything within the compliance, everything that is done the right way with us. I welcome anybody, and I'm more than glad to help out and anything that we can, but you gotta let us do our job. And sometimes they jump into conclusions, and then there's arguments and disagreements and everything, and the fact of the matter is, it is a law, so you have to understand that. This is why we're putting this content out there, and we're showing it, and again, we show it at the moment as well, because we want them to learn uh, what this is about, and why is it that we're asking. We're not asking for anything that you know that is not within the compliance of the law. So again, uh, that pretty much is self-explained. The reason why we need to obtain a power of attorney to legally represent you as an agent. And other than that, and again, it can be the because in our field of practice, there's the importer record. Pretty much is the person that uh pretty much is liable for the operation with U.S. Customs, right? And there's a lot of cases where a foreign entity uh is the importer record. You know, uh they either they've never exported and imported, or it can be a first time, or they've never had a customs bond, either, because we're going to talk about customs bonds again in another episode as well, to briefly explain what is a customs bond and what does it do and why is it that it's required. But it's one of the requirements, and a lot of them is first time, and they haven't. I mean, they have exported, but they've never have been the importer record. You know, so there's a process for that. So it can be a foreign importer, or it can be a U.S. Resident importer. There's non-resident importers and there's U.S. resident importers. That's a difference. Okay. And pretty much everything applies the same, but with a foreign importer, I mean, obviously, uh, and again, the wording on the part of attorney states right there that they're gonna have to have a U.S. resident agent to accept service or process. And that's where we come in as their legal agent. So they have that full representation, being a foreign resident importer, and we'll talk about those subjects again through the course. So going back to the power of attorney that we have here. Again, we have our own power of attorney here, and pretty much again, this power of attorney is the power of attorney that we uh, have for conducting customs business of any new client, any new importer. So pretty much up here on the boxes, pretty much you check the proper box. The type of entity that belongs to. It could be an individual, corporate, sole proprietor, general partnership, limited partnership, whichever, right? And I already explained the uh the time limits, the durations and everything. A partnership is 2 years, and all other entities it can be for an unlimited uh amount of time. It all depends on the importer record. So here, you have uh the EIA number that is assigned to each U.S. Resident-based company entity. It is a number that is it's pretty much assigned by the Internal Revenue Service, right? Or the Social Security, which obviously we put the Social Security number for if you're an individual importer, because there's individual importers and there's you know uh, entities, corporations that are importers. So we have one for single individual importer, and then corporate company. Um, so then here's where uh, the name of the company or the individual goes, where they're granting such authority. Obviously, you put the state and everything here, and if you're doing business as, obviously it states right here the name of doing business as, and the residing place of business. Uh, Preferably has to be a uh, a physical address, not a PO box, none of that, because we need to verify the uh, the company or the person, whoever it's importing. And PO boxes pretty much are kind of like red flags sometimes. Uh, but we have to go beyond that, verifying uh, to make sure that you are the person that obviously you say you are in the company. So again, this over here on this part over here, it explains pretty much in legal wording. Pretty much, it tells you here the purpose of the granting authority of the power of attorney, and pretty much is just to conduct customs business. And it tells you right here in minimum details: endorse, sign, file, declare, swear to any entry, withdrawals, all the type that involves customs business transactions only. This is not this power of attorney has nothing to do with us having authority to go to your bank and get your money out or anything like that. This is just to conduct customs business, because sometimes people I've dealt that some importers or any client or individual person thinks that, oh, I'm becoming a part of attorney. Like, I mean, part of attorney is obviously you're granting authority uh, to be your agent or your legal representative. So some of them, they're like kind of like misled sometimes by the wording part of attorney. And when we explain to them and in detail, that's when they understand that, oh, okay, now I get it, you know. So again, um, everything's here in wording, and generally to transact customs business, uh, this is pretty much it, you know, and nothing else. That's it. Transact customs business, guys, you know, for everybody to out there, so they can know what it's for. Okay, and here is it gives you the part of attorney, and it talks about the to remain in full force and effective until whatever date. Some the majority of the clients, some of them put like until revoke or on limited time, you know, whatever. And some other ones they be more specific, you know. But again, sometimes I've dealt with some clients where like, oh, I'm just gonna authorize you for that transaction particularly, and I tell them, okay, fine. And then when we receive the power of attorney sign and everything, we notice that, oh, well, they give us 30 days. Uh, they grant the part of attorney for 30 days, some of them for 60 days for say. So I always tell them, like, look, I mean, obviously you're granting me authority to clear your goods, right? And that's okay. I'm gonna do that. But you gotta understand that once the merchandise release, the merchandise has a liquidated cycle, meaning that's when actually customs closes completely that transaction and says, okay, this has no problem. Uh, we're gonna liquidate it, and it's okay with it. Like there's nothing wrong with it. You know, it's declared properly, and we got no problem. Or they can say, okay, we're gonna request the information, uh, and that's when they approach the importer, and then the importer comes back to us saying, hey, pues I received a request for information from customs. uh, I need you to help me. And I tell them like, well, I, I'm not gonna be able to help you because you only grant me authority, you know, for 1 month, you know, and this uh information you received it 2 months or 3 months afterward, you know, per se. So that's why I tell them the majority of the time, like at least uh grant it for a year or two, the latest, you know, just to be able to represent you in case something like that happens. Otherwise, we're not going to be able to help you. So that's my advice, you know, to uh, new clients per se. So pretty much, it grants several authorities here, but again, everything is related to customs business. So they have to review all this, you know. And I know that some importers have done business; they're active importers, and they've seen this part of attorney with other brokers. So a lot of them they know what they're signing, right? But a lot of them they don't, or a lot of them know, but they don't know certain details because they haven't explained them anything. So that's where I try to explain them, right? So, anyways, this is where they sign. This is the part they sign, the officer and everything. Right here, it tells you what the capacity is, and that's where they have to put it. Now, here we have this uh, notification that we need to let the importer know that if you're gonna want us to pay the duties on your behalf, you know, because you don't have an ACH account, you know, for say, I mean, obviously, we don't finance duties, so therefore you're gonna have to pay us before we present the entry. I mean, obviously, it's within 10 days after the entry has been released and clear, you know, for say like that, the date of importation, you know, for say the legal date of importation. Uh, And again, if we don't receive it within the proper time, this tells you that you know that payment to the broker will not relieve you of your liability or custom charges, meaning that you can pay me, but if you don't pay me with the ample time for me to coordinate the payment, uh, I'm sorry, but I cannot do anything there in that part. Either you paid in advance or after the entry has been released, or make sure that we get those funds in our bank account in order to pay them on your behalf. Otherwise, we're not gonna be able to cover those duties, and you can be subject and liable to liquidated damages. Meaning that why? Because you failed to pay the duties within the proper time. And obviously, we want to avoid for you dealing with that because it's a headache. So just be aware of that. And here's a corporate certification of the person that signed it, which needs to be filled out completely, and it's pretty much self-explained here: name, president, whatever. Uh, so pretty much it's a continuation of the power of attorney. You sign it the date, right? And obviously, right here it tells you the notice of the meaning of the foreign resident grantors and U.S. corporations. Which we were talking about right now. If it's a non-resident, which is an importer record, or it's gonna become an importer record. Obviously, these are the meanings, right? So you can be aware. Uh, and so this is for the limited partnership, where they state, the names, capacities of the persons, and everything that list of the partners per se. And over here, obviously, we have another part where uh, it gives you more details, instructions of completing the part of attorney. So pretty much, this is a package that we send out. This is our form, the form that we use in our company, uh, which again has the legal wording that it is required under the custom law to read. Uh, and this is pretty much extra. This is the instructions. Again, if you look at the video, obviously, but you're gonna learn a lot of things. But again, this is the instructions that we provide to new clients. That way, they have no problem in filling out the part of attorney. And over here is another important topic, which is the terms and the conditions of the service, right? And sometimes a lot of our clients don't read this section, you know. And I always tell them, I mean, obviously, everything has, you know, nowadays, if you apply for credit or you even have a bank account, anything nowadays has terms and conditions of the service. We know that, right? There's certain terms and there's certain conditions doing business with that company. Is the same case here. We have, as brokers, we have our terms and conditions of service. And it's very important for the clients to read these terms and conditions of service because same thing happened to me a couple of years back. I don't remember, it was 2 or 3 years back, where a client got sent out a request for information, meaning that he was getting an audit by customs, and they were requesting some files from them to provide files for them. The client ultimately called me and said, "Hey, Jaime, we have this problem, and we need you to send all these documents to customs." And I said, "Whoa, wait a minute. Uh, I I'm willing to do it. I'm not denying it, but keep in mind that it is not my obligation to do that. You know, uh, I'm gonna do it, but guess what? I'm gonna charge you. Because it is not my obligation to do that. I keep in mind that we as brokers and you as importers, you have your obligations under the law as importer record, and that obligation is for you to maintain your own records. that relate to the transaction. And we always provide a package of the complete transaction that includes all the information that all you have to do is uh, get the bill of services from us, and then there attached to it is the complete package. And all you have to do is pull up the complete file and the folder, because we sent you a folder, and that folder, put it somewhere in your system, or because you need to have record keeping in place as well, and you need to maintain it for 5 years, same way we have to maintain it for 5 years. But we have an obligation as brokers, and you have an obligation as importer. So bottom line is, I am not your record keeper. The reason, the sole purpose of me representing you as your agent, uh, is solely to clear your goods, to conduct customs business. Yes, to clear your goods, but you're not paying me a monthly fee or a yearly fee to be your record keeper. I am not gonna do that. So if you expect me to do it, I'm not denying it, but keep in mind that I'm gonna charge you, because that is a lot of labor that needs to be done. And you should have that information with you. So keep in mind that part of the terms and the conditions, it's the wording is right there. We're not your record keeper. We're your custom broker, but we're not your record keeper. You need to have your own records, because you are obligated under the law to have those records. Whether you have uh, a record keeping system in place or not, well, that is not my problem. That's your problem. So that's why we're doing this, because we need you to know and understand that you are required as importer of record to maintain records for 5 years. Okay. Again, we are not denying we can help you, but it's gonna cost you, because that is not part of the service that you're paying us for. We're clearing your goods, and you're paying us to clear your goods, and that's pretty much it. You know, so that's one of the terms and the conditions. So that's why I bring it out, because a lot of it, they confuse that information, and they think, oh, because you're my agent, you're obligated to do all that for me. Like, no, we're not. So just keep it in mind, because again, that is your obligation, not ours. Okay. Uh, and that pretty much applies to pretty much you know uh uh it applies to importers, and it applies to the broker, or whoever is responsible for that transaction, the importation. Again, it could be the foreign company, which is the importer record. They are obligated as well, even though they're a foreign importer. They're obligated under the same laws to uh, follow the same protocols. You know. So again, this is the part of a journey, and I hope that this content clarifies certain doubts that anybody can have out there, and pretty much, again, our goal is to uh, pretty much educate, and put this content out there for anybody that is watching this video. They can learn from it, and they can adapt to it, or they can ultimately share it with one of your clients or anybody out there. It would help somewhere, somehow, somebody out there, to guide them. And again, it's for the sole purpose of educating uh, exporters, importers that are related to customs transactions and everything under the customs laws. And this is just what we talked about. And again, after all this process has been complied, filling the information and everything, we receive the power of attorney. There's another step to follow, which is to validate the power of attorney. It, just because we have a signature, it means that we're gonna start working. We're gonna conduct business already. No, there's a process. There's a protocol that we have to follow along. which is to validate the part of attorney. And that is going to be in another episode that we're going to soon put up in our channel. So just follow our channel and keep up to date with our channel because we are going to put that other episode of validating the part of attorney. For now, this is pretty much it. Uh, Again, I am your host Jaime Salazar, and I thank you very much for tuning into our channel. And I hope this channel helps you in any way and clarifies a lot of doubts that you may have. And in return, all we ask is your full support uh, to like our channel, make it grow, and we're gonna be putting more content on our channel. Once again, I thank you and stay alert for the upcoming content that we're gonna have because we have a lot of it coming. All right. So I hope we get your like. And if you have any comments, please by all means, uh you can make your comment and let us know uh if this information has been helpful so far. Thank you and see you on our next episode. Goodbye.